Okay guys, welcome back. It's time to build the intro scene. So the first thing I want you to do is switch on the build settings, switch the intro back above the main scene, and then close the build settings menu. Okay, now click on scene and open up the intro scene. Here we go. So let's shoot down to the camera, switch to 3D view. And let's try and get the same kind of viewing area that the camera has. If I come right down into it. Yeah, I think that is going to be, if we're just playing in game mode, we've got lots of screen real estate up at the top. So I think that would be a really cool place to load in the name of the game and a button to start playing the game. So here we go. I don't want to add the sound effect to the duck as it will be a little bit annoying on this particular scene. Now, what I want you to do is create a canvas. So if you remember, the resolution is 1334 by 750. If we right click and go to UI canvas, there we go, on the scene, we'll be able to see this in the 2D view now. Here we are. I'm just going to use the game view though to actually position and things this time. The most important thing, remember, is the scaling. So make sure we scale with the screen size, and the screen size that we want is the iPhone 6 in my particular case. Okay, on the canvas, I'm going to right click and create a UI text item, which will be called Duck Hunt. Okay. Now on the scene, I need to make this bigger as it's the title of the game. So let's make this nice and big, even wider. Okay, let's make it bold. You can change the font if you want to. Let's have a look, see how it looks in that font. Okay, we can make it even bigger now. Pull down the size, there we go. And I'm going to center it again and position it to the top, okay? Right now, I want to change the color to be white. I'm going to center the text and center it vertically too. Then I'm going to add a shadow so we can see this easier with the scene in the background. Maybe even bigger. Let's make it 5 this time. The text is larger. Okay, now I'm going to switch back to the game view. And then while the text is selected, I'm going to go to the top and bring it down on the y-axis to about here. Okay, so I've come down about 80. Now go back to the scene. This will be the title. Now I want you to create a child, which will be the AR text. So we're going to write AR, change it to be the same font. I'm going to change the color to be yellow. There we go. Okay. And I'm going to make it bigger. So let's make it nice and big. Increase it more. I'm going to change it to be bold and add a shadow as well. Make that 5 also. Well, in fact, let's make it 4 because it's slightly smaller. Okay, now if we go back to the game view, let's go to the top. Make sure that's also positioned to the top center with the pivot. There we go. And I'm going to bring it down now. And I want to position this to the right-hand side underneath the N and the T. So let's go across as well. And about there, that will do it. Okay, the next thing, if we click on the canvas, right click and create a button. Okay, let's make the button about 80 in height, maybe even bigger, maybe 120, about 300 in width, and pin it to the bottom. Okay, so then what I'm going to do is move this up on the y-axis to around here. Okay, And let's have a quick look. Let's do the rounded button there. I'm going to change the colour to be a nicer blue, like so. That will do. Okay, the button's name will be Start. And if I click on the text, we need to write the word Start, change the font to match, make it bold, make it white, and increase the size. There we go. That looks good. So the button itself, if you want to, you could add a shadow to the button too, of about 4, just so that it falls in sync with the rest of the cosmetics. Right, okay, what I want you to do now is create an empty game object, which we will just call control for now. And let's make a control script, which is called control script. Okay, now all what we're going to do is make it so that when you click the start button, it jumps through to the next scene. But we're also going to add a few sound effects. So let's bring in the audio source here in preparation for exactly that thing. Save the scene and then open up the controller script. Okay, now what we need is to grab a hold of the audio source. There we go, audio. And in the start function, we will get audio and tell it to get the component for the audio source, just like we've done before, like so. And we don't need an update statement here, but what we do need is an audio clip, and that will be an array. So it will be a public audio clip array called clips again. Now in the start function, we're going to start a coroutine, okay? And this will be intro jingle, right? Now, intro jingle is going to play the round text sound. So if we create a private IEnumerator, and it will be the intro jingle, there we go. What we're going to get it to do is to wait for 3 seconds. So we need to yield and return new, wait for, wait for seconds, and we're going to wait for 3 seconds, okay? Then what we're going to do is play a sound and then call a second IEnumerator. So let's add the ability to actually play a sound. So let's have a private void called play sound. And we're going to pass in an integer, which will be the sound itself. Its job will be to get hold of the audio clip and assign the correct clip into the clips from the array that we're going to create, and then simply play the audio like so. Okay, so the audio clip that we will be playing first will be in slot 1, like so. Okay, and then it will call a new start coroutine, which we will call quack. Okay, see if you can guess where I'm going with this. Then that will be a private IEnumerator. Oh, wrong one. IEnumerator, there we go, called quack, which will wait until the sound effect for the intro jingle has finished and then play a quack sound. Okay, so yield return new, wait for seconds. I'm just going to put 2 in there for now. And then play sound in slot 1. Now, if I quickly jump, close a bracket. Now, if I quickly jump to the project and into the sounds, I can see how long the intro jingle is. So where's the intro jingle? So the start jingle's here and it's 1.9 seconds. Okay, so if we wait just over 2, so maybe 2.5, Then we want to play the quack sound, okay? So the duck quack is, let's find it. No, that's a dog, so we do need that one. 1 second. I'll rename that as dog. Let's find the quack. There it is. So that's sound effect 4. So I'll rename you as quack. Okay, so let's go to control and minimize the audio source and bring in the clips. Now let's just bring in 3 sound effects. First thing we need is a jingle. Okay, then we want the quack. So there we go. Then I want the dog, and ultimately I want the gun. So if we come back to sounds and drag the gun in to the final slot. So the quack is just over a second, and the dog is the same, just over a second. So we're going to play the intro jingle and then call the quack. That will then make let me just switch, make the dog bark, and then that will play the gunshot sound. So here we go. So let's start a new coroutine, which will be the dog, like so. And let's create that coroutine. So a private enumerator called dog. There we go. This will yield and return and wait. Keep doing that. Wait for the duck's quack to finish. So if we do about 1.7 seconds, that'll be enough. Then we can play the sound in slot 2, which is the dog barking. And finally call the last coroutine, which will be the gunshot, like so. And then we just have to create a private enumerator called gunshot, which will yield and wait for the dog to stop barking for approximately 1.7 seconds, and then play the sound in slot 3. Okay, this also needs to say new. There we go. Right, so the game starts. We grab a hold of the jingle, wait and call the coroutine. It waits 3 seconds, which is important, and then plays the intro. So that then calls quack, which waits for the intro jingle to finish and makes the duck quack. I'm just going to increase this to 3 seconds actually. When the duck quacks, it will then call a dog coroutine. The dog will wait for the duck to finish quacking, about, well, let's round it up to 2 seconds. The dog will then bark, and then that will trigger off the owner to shoot at the duck. So a little bit of tweaking with the sound, timings, it's completely up to you guys. The most important thing is this initial wait for 3 seconds, and I'll show you why. Because if we come to the title on the scene and zoom out so we can see the canvas, now what I want you to do is click on the title and come across to the cog and copy the component, okay? Now what we're going to do is animate the title coming in. So I want you to go down to animation and click create while the title's selected. We're going to call it. Okay, and what I want you to do is click record, and I want you to shrink the title down, spin it 180, and position it much, much lower. It can in fact be even smaller, right? Then what I want you to do is go to the color and change the alpha to be 0 to make it invisible. Okay? Now, that's going to be the start position. After 3 seconds, which is why we had the delay, I want you to click here and create a new keyframe. Okay? Okay, now what I want you to do is move to 4 seconds and paste the component values back in. Okay? Now it's going to be hidden. It will go all the way through. In fact, the alpha needs to be, well, here. Let's set the alpha to actually still be invisible, sorry. Come across to here and set the alpha to be back to 100. There. Okay, so now we're at 0 and it's invisible. It waits for 3 seconds. When it hits 3 seconds, it then comes up in size, rotates, and the alpha comes in, giving the nice effect that the title spins in. Okay? Now if we come out of record mode, go to the animator, double click on this and just make sure it doesn't loop, then save the scene and come back to the scene view. That's the animation ready. So now what we need to do is go to the start button and create a start button animation as well. Okay, so let's go into record mode and add a keyframe. Well, let's move across, sorry, first. So the animation itself, if you look, we've got 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, there's 10 seconds there. It might be a little bit too long. So why don't we just slide the start button in throughout this sound effect relay that's going on. So let's come out to about, let's bring it in on the dog. So let's wait 6 seconds. Here we go. 6 seconds and add a keyframe. Well, click on the start button, that would help, and add a keyframe. Okay, I'll slightly move it. There we go, and add a keyframe. Now if I zoom out further, I can go to 7 seconds, add another keyframe. Okay, and that will be the end position of the start button. Okay, so what I want to happen is I want the button to basically come up from the bottom. So if you go to the 6 second marker, I want you to slide this off the canvas. And that way, look, you can see it slides in. However, you also need to go right back at the beginning and also position it off the canvas. Okay, so save the scene and jump back to the MonoDevelop console script. Now down here, we're going to add a new function which will be a public void, and we'll just call it change scene. Now we're going to need to use Unity's scene management up at the top. So Unity Engine Scene Management, there we go. And this will give us access to the Scene Manager, where we can then load a scene by a string, and we just have to give the name of the string of the scene that we want to load, which is main.